it again. Fulham needed a goal scorer. It seems like they found one.
Hello and welcome to That's So Craven, your one-stop shop for all things Fulham. It's Dave here and we're back. It's after dark. It's Thursday night. We're streaming live on both X and YouTube. And tonight it's the international break. So we thought we'd bring you few things a little bit different. But as always, we're probably just going to start with our thoughts on Spurs. We like to milk these victories. We like to talk about them. We like to pick them apart and enjoy them. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And then we're going to enter into some other areas regarding the rest of the season, which I think will be fun. And then kind of talk about the run-in. And then we're going to answer some questions that have been kindly sent in by all of you fantastic viewers to After Dark. So looking forward to tonight's show. And listen, anyone that's watching live and you want to add some questions and you want to throw some comments and abuse at us, feel free, bring it on. That's what it's all about tonight. So looking forward to it. And, of course, we've mentioned it already in our tweets for tonight. It's the OGs. So first of all, we've got the Putney perspective. It's Skibby. How you doing, Skibby?
Hi, Dave. Yeah, I'm really well. The sun was shining today. It was ridiculously warm. I know that the Perth boys are going to listen to this and being like, 18 degrees. That's like winter. That's like long johns and woolly jumper time, but for me that was shirts and shorts. Take the dogs out. It was beautiful. And then now, off company time, I can have a nice cold beer, which I've been craving all day. It was definitely a day for a beer garden, but no, I'm feeling good, feeling positive.
Yeah, I always feel good after a Fulham win anyway, but it feels extra special being the
and no stress in an international break as well.
Exactly, no stress. In fact, we can park Palace for another week and get all stressed about it next week. So, I feel you. And of course, we've got the Thursday night MVP. We know her as Townsend. You know her as Mary Southgate. Welcome, Mary, to the pod.
Thank you. Hey, guys. Just like Skibby said, what a day. I feel like over here, every time it's sunny, everyone just goes mental and it's like, shorts are out, t-shirt. I was teaching outside today, so loving life. But I don't know what it is, something about the sun, and maybe it's because we don't see it often, but everyone just goes from 0 to 100 and we feel like it's summer straight away. But not complaining. Got the corona ready, so I obviously feel like it's summer as well. But yeah, looking forward to chatting about Spurs game and things that are coming up. And I think I've heard the other day that we haven't finished above Spurs since 2009, so pretty happy that we could be doing that this year.
Yeah, you're right. That was the year we finished 7th. I remember that.
Wow, what followed that year though?
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
The Europa League final.
Yeah, it was an exciting time. So
comes in threes.
Yeah,
I don't know what the other one is, but
yeah, FA Cup.
Who cares?
And we're welcoming a new face tonight. So making his podcast debut, it's my old buddy Mike. And he's had the pleasure of knowing me his whole life. I call him Mr. Lucky. How you doing, Mike? Welcome to the podcast.
Firstly, you've never called me Mr. Lucky. You've called me many things, but I don't think Mr. Lucky has ever been it. But thank you anyway for having me. As I say, it's my debut tonight, so I'm hoping it's more of a Louis Sahar-esque debut than a Shefki Kucci-esque debut, but we'll see how it goes. So, and also commenting on the weather as well. I think I got my first sunburn of the year today, so yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me with Mike. He often gets moonburn. He's quite a pale-skinned guy. He would never manage it in Australia with the Barenzi family. It would be an absolute nightmare. So there we go.
So I was just going to say, for people that are listening on Spotify won't get this at all, but if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like Mike's got a really good idea. He's got a light bulb above his head. It's just fantastic juxtaposition.
I've got it stored up for later, Skibby. That's what it is.
That's it.
Brewing above my head as we speak.
It's been brewing. It gets brighter and brighter.
Mike, do you want to tell us a quick bit about Fulham? I mean, you obviously you go to all. You've got a season ticket holder. You go to every away game. You go to every England match. You go to every England away game. I don't know how you manage it. I don't know how you find so much time. But tell us a little bit about Fulham and yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say I go to every game, but I go to the vast majority. So the only two that I've missed this year for Fulham have been the two League Cup games. So apparently that doesn't make me loyal enough in Dave's eyes, but everybody else, I think that's to be honest, I fit it in because I have nothing else to do. So it's pretty much my main hobby and interest, but. Yeah, there's been some good ones this year, so it's been a good season to be following the Whites on the road, and long may it continue. Yes, I do go to England games as well. I mean, I would say I'm looking forward to the England games coming up at the weekend, but I'd be lying. They're very much processional fixtures that are purely designed for getting through to the tournament. So that's another matter. We're here to talk about Fulham, so I think. I've sort of said my piece on who I am as a fan.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Mike. We've got a quick comment from Claire Green in the chat. It says, Mary, did you enjoy last night's Ashford result?
Yeah, they. I wasn't there because I've just so swamped at the moment with coursework marking, which is obviously very exciting. But we won on penalties. We beat Fulham Women actually on penalties. We're through to the quarterfinals. So very impressed with the girls. They gave a good result. So very happy with that one. And I think we've got Portsmouth in the next round. So we see how we get on with them. But yeah, gutted to not be involved in that one because who doesn't love? I could have done another penalty. Last round we won on penalties, and I didn't scored one, so I could have done it again. Yeah.
Was it like a Berger top corner?
Yeah.
Well, I did a nice long walk, slow walk. I thought I'm just going to compose myself because I don't normally take pens. Put the ball down. I think I took about one step back, and then bang, went right down the middle. And then straight in the goal.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Very nice. Very nice.
Was good. Yeah, that was a
right.
good one.
Should we get into Spurs? Should we talk a bit about last Sunday? I mean, great result. I'm not sure there was a lot to talk about until 15 minutes to go. Few penalty appeals. Obviously, a great result at the end of the day, though. Mary, did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, I thought we'd win, but 2-0 clean sheet. Didn't quite expect that. But I mean, the game started a bit slow. Probably wasn't that exciting in the first half, but there was lots of exciting moments from the game. From the goals we'll get to, I suppose. But yeah, what a result! I was sort of a bit worried it would become the Man United game where we thought like Man United weren't in their best mode, Spurs aren't as well, and then we don't take advantage of it properly. But yeah, we went and got a 2-0 clean sheet win. What's as a centre back, I'm buzzing with a clean sheet, but 3 points as well. I think it was a slow start, to be fair, and Spurs had the upper hand in that sense. But I think that's quite a common theme for us actually. Like just pausing on that thought, like we do seem to start a bit slow sometimes, especially the second half. But yeah, I think Spurs started better than us, though they were still giving the ball away quite a lot. And then we got into our groove a little bit and finished the first half stronger, which was really good. Castagna was the first shot on target for the whole first, I think was the first half for both teams.
Which one, sorry?
Castagna's shot, I think.
Oh, you're probably
I'm
right
just trying
on
to
that.
think what moments happened, and I think there was the penalty, the penalty call.
What did you make of that?
The one on Jimenez, or
yeah. Do you know what? I think he made it a bit extra with his jump, but I think it's difficult. I wouldn't, looking at it back, I don't think it's a penalty just because of the way he jumped and sort of dived with the ball, with the push.
In the review pod, I got rinsed by Elton and Mark for being sort of defenders union because I used to play defence. And I was sort of talking about the touch tight and you always made it as difficult as you can for a striker. You don't want him to have a free shot on goal. So for me, that was kind of seeing where he is, a little bit of a lean on. I mean, he went really stupid in terms of fully extending 2 hands in the back because that's really dangerous. But I just thought it was really soft. I just thought, I don't think there's any kind of momentum there from Jed Spence which makes him go head over tit like he did. But
no, certainly not. I think I think let's talk about both penalties actually, because I had a pretty similar view on both of them, and my view was I think more often than not they get given, both of them actually, because I think Jed Spence didn't really have any intention of kind of challenging for the ball. He was more interested in just pushing Jimenez. Jimenez goes down, and I see the argument for, he made the most of it. I mean, it's quite clear he did, but I just think the fact that I think he's fouled, albeit soft, it's still a foul. And I think on the balance, I'd probably say that was. And then on the other one with Bassi, again, I think, I remember you said in the group earlier in the week that the VAR had actually said during the game that, I think they'd said Bergvall had run into Bassi, but I don't know. It looks a bit more like...
That's what they said. I mean,
It looks a bit more like a trip to me, but... Mike, what did you make of those two?
They're both looking for it. I think Raul clearly practiced for it the week before with his celebration against Brighton that looked identical to his fall in the box against Spurs. So, you never get them in the box. I just think that, there's always a bit of pushing and pulling, and referees aren't going to give them. You're more likely to get it if it's from a set piece than open play. So I think that's probably what sort of seemed to count against us. The Bergvall one, you'd want it if it's for you. You'd be, doing your nut if it was a given against you. So they probably level themselves out because neither are more conclusive than the other.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's a fair summary. But yeah, look, after probably edging the first half without kind of maybe testing Vicaria other than that Castagna effort, Spurs, I thought, actually came out and they made a pretty good change. I thought Bergvall came on and made a difference for me. I thought he was kind of at the heart of everything they did in the second half from an attacking sense. He obviously had the first thing he did was swinging that cross for Solanke, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, Spurs are in this game, then that all kind of set us back for the first 15 minutes. And it, fortunately Silva makes the change. He brings on Rodrigo at 60 minutes. And then Ange Postecoglou, just gives us the biggest favour that we've had all season. Muniz comes on fire and he decides to take off Romero and push Archie Gray back into defence, which was just, in my opinion, suicidal. It was a completely ridiculous decision. And it was one of those moments for me, a light bulb moment, like Mike's light bulb moment. I think it was...
you can have that one.
But I've kind of defended Ange a little bit this year, just saying, he had a lot of injuries and all this kind of stuff. But when he makes a decision like that, you just think, man, you just look out your level. You're out your league here. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't think any manager in the league would have made such a ridiculous decision like that. I'm sorry to say. Mary, what did you think? I mean, obviously Muniz comes on and he's on fire. Did that surprise you?
Oh, he was... Well, I mean, AP was probably man of the match as well, but Muniz came on and was a game changer. And we know he's done that so much this season, but he absolutely won every ball, every header. He was winning flick-ons. He was so strong. And like you said, I don't know what Ange was playing at, to be honest. I think he's in a bit of a state of panic, probably, with how his season's gone. And we know that makes you can do funny things, I suppose. But yeah, I thought Muniz was brilliant, and it's just so good to see him week on week. He's getting more confident, he's getting stronger, he's having more of an impact, and I just think his finish as well, first time, bottom corner, it was in such a tight area. I mean, the whole move was really good from the moment that we won possession of the ball again, which I really liked. I think it came from Kearney pressing. I can't remember which Spurs player had the ball now, and Kearney pressed really well, which gave Robbo and Willian, I think, time to get in and win the ball back as well. And I think that's where it came from. But then we were in such a tight area in the box of Traore and AP and then Muniz, and they just played such nice little one-touch football in there. And then Muniz's finish right in the bottom corner, in a congested area, I think that was an excellent finish.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm really
agree.
happy for him.
I saw a few people say that he just swung a foot at it, but I thought it was a really composed finish, to be honest, just putting it just out of reach of Vicario. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, agree completely. Like, we've seen Muniz be rash before. That was anything but rash. That was really nice and composed. Okay, probably didn't get the power on it that he wanted to, but with the accuracy, it didn't need that. It was like right in the corner. So yeah, I thought it was a really nice finish. And Muniz has that where he can just mess defenders about a bit more than Raul, and it was the perfect time to do it. And Spurs thought, let's put a child on him at centre back to try and, you know, stop that, and it just didn't work at all. As you said, David, it was a terrible substitution coupled with a good one for us that just really swung the game back in our favour.
Yeah, Skibby, it's not often you get like 3 touches in the opposition's box either, you know, but it was really intricate play, I thought.
Back to defenders union. You'd be screwing if that was your defence. That is terrible defending. To one, I think, allow it to bounce around like it did, to allow Traore to turn on it and get a free shot at basically getting the ball to AP. It was just that kind of intricate passing in a way, but it wasn't, you know, it was a bit kind of like hit and hope, if I'm not mistaken, from like Pereira. He was just sort of trying to guide it to the striker, someone just to have a go at it. And like you say, if Muniz hits that cleanly, I think if he has a clear shot at that, that gets blocked or goes straight at the keeper. The fact that he kind of gets and tries to guide it into the corner and it looks like a bit of a scuff actually works in his favour. But no, I mean, that just goes back to, I think, if Romero's on the pitch, that doesn't happen. That ball doesn't bounce around like it did. It gets cleared. But as soon as you've got Archie Gray and Ben Davies, who did not have a good game, really showed his age at times. It just really summed up Spurs for me. The way that you're thinking, how is this team with, you know, when you look at, you know, Son, Solanke, Bergvall, all the players that they have at their disposal, you're like, how is this team 15th? And then you saw how they defend, and you're like, okay, that explains it. I'm mystery solved. But good goal for us, but a terrible, terrible one to concede. And if we conceded that, I'd be fuming.
Yeah, and actually the second goal from their perspective wasn't much better. I mean, I don't know if you saw Match of the Day where, you know, it was pretty much about how Tottenham lost the game and not how Fulham won the game. But, you know, that we've grown to expect that from Match of the Day over the years. But they did point out how kind of Cess comes from behind Jed Spence, and Jed Spence just decides, oh, can't be bothered with this. Just let Ben Davies deal with it, who made a right hash of it. But unbelievable finish. And, you know, it's special to see Cess score in front of the Hammersmith end. I think it's the stuff that dreams are made of, to see Cess and Muniz score in the front of the Hammersmith end. I mean, they've got to be 2 of the most popular players with the fan base. So, but brilliant goal. And, you know, just on Cess, it just shows again how composed he is in the box. And, you know, I was saying this to Mike after the game, actually, that it's interesting that I'm glad he scored it against Spurs, because they obviously bought him. He was a left winger for us. They bought him and put him at left back. And, you know, I always thought that was a waste, because Cess doesn't have all like amazing attributes to his game. He's not kind of super quick. He's not super skillful. Can't really, you know, doesn't always beat a man. You know, I don't want to, I'm not doing him down here a disservice. Like, he's a good player, but that, you know, I think his biggest strength is just being in that 18-yard box where he's just so composed, whether that be with shooting, whether that be with passing. And I think he's starting to show that a bit more now, and it's so exciting. I mean, Mike, what did you think of that finish?
Yeah, brilliant finish. Loved it. And as you say, really pleased for him because of all the injury trouble that he's had over the years. Like, it, you know, it was a bit of a gamble from our perspective, and I'm not sure it's one we would have taken, but for the history that he has with the club. But I'm really pleased for him. He's always been good at finishing, but even then I didn't think that he had, you know, a right foot pile driver in his locker, because it's just not something that we've seen from him before. Great strength as well to make the chance. He was probably a bit tired from just having a wrestle with Ben Davies, so that's why he shot, but fair play to him. It's, you know, it's worked out perfectly. And it's one of those celebrations as well where he probably wanted to go harder, but out of respect. We've got to do that nowadays. So it's the best possible way to just sort of stand there and, milk it while everybody else is losing their minds. I mean, yeah, really pleased for him and hope that he can kick on from this now and become a really key player for us again.
Yeah, for sure. Mary, any objection to Cess and Muniz really milking their celebrations in front of the Hammersmith end?
Oh, I think that would have been brilliant. Like, I mean, like you said, two of our favourite players. I don't know how Cess held it together. No fans held it together, that's for sure. But it was like Limbs FC. But yeah, I don't know how players hold it together like that. When it's such a good goal and right in front of the hammy end. It's a fair play to him, actually. But yeah, what a finish. Just to echo what everyone said, such great strength by him. And another player who's just oozing with confidence at the moment and clearly is in the right place, as in like the right club, the right manager at the moment, and the personnel around him that's just helping him to absolutely flourish at the moment. And I think, what was it, about a minute that he'd been on the pitch?
Yeah.
And he's just doing that. But Leno as well, credit to him with the assist, because he obviously spotted the back line pushing up and straight away, same as Cess, well-timed run, great decision to play up when they're all stepping in. So, yeah, a well-played ball from Leno as well.
Is that two assists for Leno now? Is that two this season?
The same as ESR. But
okay.
Can't talk about that. That angers people on X. Don't mention it.
Yeah, same as ESR, which is a little bit awkward. But yeah, great from Leno. And, keeping a clean sheet, Mary, you must have been pleased.
Oh, buzzing, because I feel like a couple pods ago I was saying how we don't keep clean sheets at the moment. And I don't know why, because I do think we've got a really good back line and a strong back line. We've got a clever back line and they're working well together. And I know we're missing Tete, but Castanha's done really well to fill in. And some of the goals we conceded, we probably could have had clean sheets. But yeah, delighted with that. We didn't really have... Leno didn't have too much to do. I think Solanke had a couple chances. Was it him that had one near the end of the match?
No, he had one at 0-0.
Dane Scarlett.
Someone had one. I was trying to think, and he made a save right at the end.
Yeah, that was Dane Scarlett. I think.
Scarlett, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Leno didn't have too much to do, to be fair. But made a few great saves, which was really good.
Yeah,
I think on that
I
point,
forgot about that chance. Sorry, Mike, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think on that point about us not keeping clean sheets is something that's bothered me a lot this season as well. But then I was thinking about it actually is probably more a testament to the quality of the league and the attacking players in it. Because aside from Southampton and probably Leicester, who haven't scored a goal feels like in this year, all the other sides have got good attacking players. Like Ipswich will probably go down and there'll be a queue a mile long for Liam Delap because, he's a top striker for a Premier League side. And it's, that's the 18th team in the league. So I think that us conceding goals isn't as bad as probably it would have been years ago when clean sheets and nicking 1-0s was more the name of the game.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll take it though. Is that the second one at home this year? I know Southampton was the... Yeah.
We'd conceded at home in every other game apart from Southampton. So until then, yeah.
And we also have won a game by a 2-goal margin, which is the first time since Brighton, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got to take
in
it
the league.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I want to go back to the comment that you put up a minute ago. Was it David's comment about the subs?
Yeah.
And how I think we're top in how many goals we've scored from subs. So we've got 13 now.
Yeah.
Which just shows, I know we're saying we're a bit thin on the ground in terms of our squad, but actually the players that are coming on and the decisions that Marco's making on the whole with subs is so impactful. And I'm love that Muniz is getting so many. I know then it's who starts, but he's having a great impact coming on as a sub, and some of it, that's what it's about. And Wilson, obviously, I think if he hadn't got injured, he would start anyway, but he got a fair few off the bench as well. But I just think it's a really important point to make, is that we have scored 13 from our subs, which just is, like I said, credit to the players and how competitive our squad is.
100%.
Yeah, I don't think it's just the goals there as well. I think it's just the level that we've got in reserve is very similar to the starting players. So there's not a drop off in quality when we have to swap a player out. I mean, Tete and Castagna are probably the perfect example of that, as in they're probably neck and neck in terms of who would start and it's then on form. So yeah, it's a good point. It's not just the goals. You know, it's a squad full of super subs.
Yeah, because we'd say Diop as well falls into that category this season. Who, you know, when he's been called upon, he's been solid. And yeah, there's Harry Wilson. You mentioned Adama's been in and out, but yeah, I think the squad is in pretty good shape. I don't think we need to do a lot this summer. I would prefer just to sign a couple of quality players to improve the first team and take us to the next level than just kind of keep building the squad, you know, because you've got to try and keep all these people happy as well at the end of the day, which is a tricky job, particularly if we don't have Europe, you know. But we will, of course we will. So we'll see how that goes. Right.
That conversation always comes back up.
Oh, of course it does. After
Never
a minute.
going away.
Yeah. We are still in the run, and but you know, we've got a lot to do to secure a spot, I think. But let's just enjoy the ride and focus on the next game, which is the biggie. I sound like one of the players after the game now, but it is all about this Palace game that's coming up next. And of course, we'll be doing our full review of that next Thursday night. So we're going to bring a little bit the different element to the show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Skippy. What we're going to start with? We're going to start with.
I think the season so far makes sense.
Season so far, yeah. We're going to do a little bit of the season so far.
So this is horribly stolen from Fulham Fan News. So thank you very much for the content, mate. But basically, they put on X, Twitter, basically your player of the season, flop of the season, all those kind of categories. And I thought, that's a good thing to talk about. So yeah, we've all done our own. And I think starting with player of the season, and I don't want to call you out here because I think Dave and Mary have both gone for Robinson. I think that's kind of, we understand that. Played extremely well, very athletic, high assist. But I like Mike's suggestion, so I'm going to go to you, Mike. Player of the season, you've gone for Bassey.
I think it's a bit of favouritism bias because I love Bassey. He's brilliant. He's like, and he's
I thought
a
you were
real
about to tell me it was a typo.
No,
autocorrect.
I think with Bassey, it's like you can see that he's like, from when we got him to what he is now, he's clearly improved, but also has become a bit of a leader in the side as well. Maybe not in the conventional term, but certainly in like the way that he is on the pitch. A perfect example I thought was on Sunday when he won the ball, decided he hadn't quite had enough, and he took Romero's lunch money, gave him a wedgie, and then shoved him over. And we didn't see Romero for much of the second half. He's a player that the fans love, and I think his performances have matched that as well. In that, we were all gutted when Ream moved on, but actually I think Bassey's kind of stepped into those shoes and become a really big player for us. To the point where actually we probably wouldn't notice it as much until he's not playing, how much we rely on him and value him. I think, to be fair to Cuenca, he had a decent game up at Liverpool when Bassey was suspended, but just generally I think Bassey's been exceptional this season, and he's even started doing those marauding runs. I think it was away at Chelsea when we were playing, and he was the left of the back three, and he just decided, no, I can go forwards now. I'm gonna go for it, and he's bringing that sort of level of ability to his already superb defensive performances. So that's my I kind of thought that Robinson got it last year as well, so let's share the love a bit.
Yeah,
what's quite interesting with Bassey, I think he actually had a bit of a slow start. I remember coming off the back of last year where he was excellent. We had no Anderson at the start of the season, if you remember, and Bassey was tasked with kind of bringing the ball out defence, and he made a few mistakes. And I remember people getting on his back a little bit, and it took a few games for him to kind of, and Anderson to come into the team for him to really kind of find form. And I think over the last, maybe since Christmas, I think he's been exceptional. There's no question about it. He's been an absolute rock Whereas Robinson, on the flip side, obviously first half of the season, unbelievable, and I think he was almost at 10 assists by Christmas. It was just ridiculous. And now we know that he's kind of dealing with an injury, as we've all seen on his Instagram tonight. You've seen a little bit. He does look at 90%. I mean, we're still getting good performances out of him, but he's not the 100% Robinson that he was in, before Christmas. And I think he's now creating an opportunity for other players to maybe steal that player of the season spot, which is quite interesting.
Definitely opened it up a bit more, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for me, I was going to go Iwobi just because I feel like he's been Mr. Consistent. I mean, he may not be doing, the sort of 10 out of 10s week in, week out, but he's sort of doing those kind of steady 7 and 8 out of 10s, which for me is probably more important than those kind of glamorous performances that we see from ESR, for example. So he'll have like an absolute stormer against Leicester at home and then just go missing the week next week. And I think that kind of hinders your performance and your perception of players. But for me, Iwobi's been that kind of first name on the team sheet in that sort of wide area, in our attacking especially, that he's the one who's making things happen. He's picking out those passes. He's putting in some ridiculous crosses for the guys to finish, which, if we had probably a more informed and confident striker, or maybe it is skill set, but if we had a better striker, then potentially, Iwobi is on way more assists this season than he actually is. And I just think that his performances have just been more important as a whole than kind of the individual stats for the area. So, for example, talking about Robinson and his assists and defending, maybe if we start to look at more of his dribbling and passing and keeping of the ball, then potentially, he doesn't stack up as well as other players. Where I just think Iwobi, for his attacking prowess, his winning the ball back, his passing, everything about him at the moment is just pushing for that for me to be player of the season, and I think it's quite well deserved. Hopefully he continues.
I think Claire's point about Sasha Lukic as well, I think they're sort of on par with Sandberg as well. Like, they're both so solid in the midfield, and I feel like whenever we've not had one of them two this season, we've questioned who are we going to play, because or do we need to change formation? Because Lukic isn't playing, and I think that just shows as well. I did consider Lukic. I thought he is a really key player for us in the middle, but again, I think it shows we've got quite a few players we've got a really strong team this year. We've got lots of players that are so influential on the pitch, and you could go from Leno as well. I was trying to argue in my head, could Leno get player of the season, because he's made some brilliant saves this year and great decision making. And then you go through, like you said, Robinson. We've said Bassi, and then
Tete's a bit unlucky being injured, because
Yeah.
Tete was having a fantastic season.
Yeah,
good showing.
he's due back in a few weeks, isn't he? A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He's back
Okay.
training again.
Yes, there's been lots of good performance. I just can't have Sander Berge. He's been sensational, and I'd say he's probably one of the best players we've got at the moment on his current form, but he's just not played enough games to count for me. Like, he missed a big chunk at the beginning. He's had an injury around Christmas time. And I think Lukic maybe falls into that category a little bit too. He's had a bit of an injury and suspensions, but there's no doubt his improvement this year has been unbelievable. That was my view on it.
No.
Yeah.
But I think that's quite a good
I'm
segue,
laughing at
really,
the
talking about how good. What was that?
I'm just laughing at no one going for Smith Rowe.
Oh, trust me, we get to him in a minute.
We'll get to him, Claire. Don't
Imminently
worry.
now. But no, I'm going to go to Mary first. So, the next category was flop of the season. And you copped out a little bit.
No, I left
saw
it
a
blank.
big blank, Claire.
I left it blank. I haven't got the heart to tell one of them. I think they're the flop of the season. But if I was having to say it, I would say ESR, because I just think maybe we just had too high hopes for him. And maybe that's what it is. And we're looking at it in where we thought he'd be rather than like where he's at. But yeah, he would probably be my flop of the season, to be fair. But then again, the last few games he started to like play the ball a bit better and carry it forward better, and we're just not seeing it. Rouse braids. We're just not seeing it enough. But yeah, I don't. That's put me off now. I just don't know if maybe we had too high expectations for ESR, but it's not where we all would like him to be.
Mike,
And
what's your
actually,
view?
AP is. Sorry, I was just going to say AP is really pushing for that spot again now.
Oh, for
after
sure.
last
Yeah, he is. Sorry, so Dave, are you asking me in my opinion on Smith Rowe?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick up for Smith Rowe here because I think that some of the criticism has been a bit too far. The guy's come off the back of 2 seasons where he barely played. I think that he needs to regain that confidence in his body, in his ability to stay fit. We've seen throughout the season he's like taken 2 steps forward and then a step back with maybe a little knock that is just, meant that he doesn't quite feel as good as he can. Don't get me wrong, some of his performances have not been good enough, but then there's been some good performances as well to sort of counteract that. I agree. I thought he was good in the first half on Sunday. I liked his link up with Willian. It almost looked like, those were the 2, best ballers in the team, so they were just going to play together, and it kind of suited his playing style. I want to see him be a bit more dynamic and get on the front foot a bit more. I think at Newcastle away in the second half, he was turning the game around and driving at them a bit more, and that's kind of what really got us back into the game. But then he doesn't do that the following week, and it can be frustrating, and I can understand why people don't necessarily like it when his first option seems to be to pass it backwards, to do the easy thing rather than get on the turn and drive at people. That may come in time. It may not. We'll just have to see. But I still think there's more to come from him. I'm kind of willing to give him that time to do that. I don't think he falls into flop of the season category because I have seen some good performances from him. So my flop was somebody who I haven't seen anything good from. Can I reveal who that is right now?
You can reveal.
Please.
I can reveal that I have given flop of the season so far to Stephen Bender. I've yet to see anything that convinces me that he is of the level required. He makes me nervous, and that was in the early rounds of the FA Cup when, let's face it, most of us are
We're
like,
in the quarter-final now. I don't know what your problem is.
Well, I think
What a flop!
I think I saw. Was there something on the Discord earlier? It's in maybe earlier in the week where somebody was saying, "Did we give him a run out in the Palace game?" Absolutely not. No way. No. We need to actually have a goalkeeper that can do what Leno does in a penalty shootout. So yeah, not for me. I don't hate Bender. I just don't want him in my goal.
Nothing personal, Stephen.
No beef here. Well, at least I'm not on my part. But there might be now if he's watching. But sorry, Steve.
I don't. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I'd be pretty nervous if he starts in goal against Palace. Oh, bless him.
I felt bad giving him flop of the season because he's only played 2 games, and I mean, you're going to be rusty if you're coming in and goal for 2 games alone, but. I echo Mike's thoughts completely that he's just not a good goalkeeper. But, I just felt bad giving him a flop because he's only played twice.
Yeah, maybe that penalty shootout, though, was probably enough to...
Yeah, that was pretty awful.
Put him in the category.
I thought it was the Wigan game that did it for me. He made me really nervous in that game. And it was there was no need to be nervous, but... Yeah, just some of the things he did. But then he made some good saves to make up for it. So it was weird. I don't know. I
reckon there's a player there.
It is tough if you're not if they're not playing. I
rusty.
think it's tough, isn't it? And he's coming in and then he's playing with a different makeup of people. The starting 11 is always different, isn't it, in the first few rounds? So, and I think that's the same with ESR. I know I've awarded him my award, but I do think after the season he'll become what we want him to become, and I think he just needs that season with Marco, same as Lukic did. and Bassi, like they just need that season to really get their confidence and understand where they're going under Marco's leadership. So I do actually have faith that ESR will keep pushing on. Yeah. I just think he needs the season.
Yeah.
What's the next one, Skibby?
Most improved player.
Yes.
So I reckon, go on, Dave. We haven't heard your lovely voice in a while.
Yeah. Well, I went with Sasa Lukic. I think there's a lot of people kind of in the summer questioning, is he good enough? And I just think he got that opportunity partly because Berger was brought in late and needed to come up to fitness. He got that opportunity in the 6 and he was just excellent at the start of the season, like probably our best player at the start of the season, I think. And now he's being played a bit more in the 8 and just, he's kind of allowed to push on a bit more. And I think we're seeing like the other side of Sasha, and he's just a bit of an all-rounder really. And I think, now he's in most people's best 11, which I think is a big turnaround for him. So I think we're finally seeing the best of him. And I can't think of anyone else who's really turned it around as much as that.
Okay. And Mike, I think you went for the same. So is that kind of echo your thoughts as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The guy's come on leaps and bounds from the player that we first signed, 2.5 years ago to what he is now. He's, when fit and available, he's a guaranteed starter.
So I went for a little bit of a different angle. I went for Bassi. Not because he was a bad player to begin with, but I just think he's really stepped up and really putting in some performances where I think, hang on, we're going to have a bit of a trouble here hanging on to him come the summer. Just because of the profile we know of, like left-footed centre-backs is quite rare. We learned that from Cottage Tactico and sort of the Fulham fan news kind of hybrid of tactics and, transfer targets. But the way that he's now carrying the ball, the way that he's picking out these passes, the way that he's, just the sheer strength of him as well that we saw, like completely sent Romero, as we talked about. I genuinely think that I could see him at a top 6 side. Because when I think of centre-backs, I think of, they mature probably in their late 20s and probably like 30 being the mark of like, that's going to be when they're going to hit their prime. Bassi's 25. He's got 5 more years to grow. He's going to, I think, and we've seen him come leaps and bounds this season compared to last season. And I just feel like his ceiling is just going to keep going. And I think the more that he plays, the better he's going to become. And I just think he's going to be a real asset going forward.
Yeah.
I was in 2 minds actually between Bassi and I went for Muniz, but for a bit I was considering Bassi just for the same reason as you. But I went for Muniz because I do think I have a lot more confidence in him this year. And I think he's a much more of a presence. Like before, I feel like he was a bit like Vinny, like just a bit all over the place and wasn't really sure what he was going to do. But I really feel like he's grown so much in the way he, like I said, last against Spurs, he won every header. And he's sort of got no fear to be in those right positions now. And I know he's a very different sort of player to Jimenez, but the way he's performing at the moment and the impact he's having, I think, is really strong, and his control is better with the ball, and he's just strong. He's holding off players, and obviously he scored some great goals for us, like getting a goal Chelsea, like key goals, key moments that he's just there to get the goal. So yeah, I went for Muniz, and I hope that he keeps on pushing on.
I think that's a really good shout, Mary. I think one of the things that he's really improved on is his link play, which is that for me was what always I thought got Raul the nod over him, was because of his stuff outside the box. And his, Raul's a very cute player, whereas Muniz didn't quite have that. But we're seeing more of that coming into his game, where his physical strength, along with that ability to kind of, link the play and hold the ball a bit more and then sort of spin and get himself in the box, is really coming on. And he's looking to, to be on the way to becoming a really, good Premier League level striker. And hopefully we can give him a new contract to, reflect that.
definitely.
Yeah, hopefully.
Definitely deserved.
What's next?
Next
Unsung
one.
hero?
I was going to skip that one just for
Okay.
timing.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah,
going on,
quarter
but
two.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
fair play.
signing of the season. So, I mean, Dave, your signing of the season,
Sander Berger. It's got to be, isn't it?
Sander Berger.
I mean, he just looks, well, what a
Yeah,
great
actually,
replacement.
I've just looked, and across all four, we've all got the same, so that saves
It's
us
got to
time.
be. You know, he's been fantastic. I mean, it looks like 20 million he cost, and we just haven't looked back. No one's talking about João Polina, who was,
Who?
I'd say, a world-class player, and we're not even talking about him because of the business that we did in January to bring Sander Berger into the team. And it was funny because he was kind of playing not quite as a six last year, if I remember right. He had a bit more freedom to get forward at Burnley, but
Scored
just
against
looks,
us.
club really did their homework on him because he's got all the attributes to play that role. Just been fantastic. What a great asset he is, and we look so much better of him in the team.
I think everyone had freedom at Burnley though, and that was part of the problem. So let's maybe not. It's not a good barometer.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think the only thing to add to that is that, you know, I see the comments and I see a lot of people get hate for it, but I will die on the hill that, you know, that Sander Berger is a more complete midfielder than Polina. And what I mean by that is not a better player, but he offers more on the pitch as a whole. He can pass, he can tackle, he's strong in the air. We're going to see more from him because he's got it all. And I know Polina popped up with a lot of goals last season, but I think it's only a matter of time before Berger gets on the end of a corner or a set piece. But just watching him, he glides along around the pitch. He's very good on the ball, whereas Polina was very much just strong in the tackle and then get it out of his feet and try and pick a pass. But the way that Berger is just a bit more technical but still got the tackling attributes, it just seems to fit us a lot better. That's why I think we don't miss Polina as much as we thought we would.
For sure.
Do you think we'll see him taking any free kicks anytime soon?
Oh, I bloody hope so. That was an absolute perler.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, to see him on them, but I don't think we will.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, then last but not least, a very good debate here, and it's pretty much a 50-50, but best game. Go on, Mike, kick us off.
I've waited my entire life to win at Stamford Bridge, and Boxing Day completed that for me. So I think when we scored in the last minute to win the game, I screamed like a small child, stroke woman, stroke whatever, you know, some sort of wild animal. It was brilliant. I loved it. I've been to that ground 18 times now, and until Boxing Day I hadn't seen us win there. So I never have to go to Stamford Bridge again if I don't want to, because I've completed it.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we've had so many amazing moments this year, like crazy good moments. And I don't know, the Brentford one's really special to me. Just I really dislike Brentford, just dislike them. And just to kind of the way it happened, we were kind of getting beat by Brentford with their anti-football performance on the day, and to turn it around in such spectacular fashion like we did, I just lost myself. You know, I don't know if you remember, Mike, I kind of jumped on you from about 4 rows down. So
I have the bruises still months later from Dave torpedoed me from about, 6 rows behind, something like that. Yeah. And what's quite lucky actually as well is that the girl that sits behind me, she sometimes brings her small child, as in like this baby is like months old. Thankfully, she wasn't there to get in the way of Dave's torpedo. She couldn't make that game, so it was a shame for her. But it was probably for the best in the long run, as obviously Dave would have just, you know,
taken her out,
missiled her and taken her and the baby out. So yeah.
No, I went for Brentford as well. I did obviously Chelsea, unreal, but I wasn't there, so it's all about like the atmosphere as well, isn't it? And that feeling when you're there. And it was the Brentford one was just another level for me, and just the way we came back with those 2 goals in extra time was just another level. So that one is absolutely my match of the season. Hopefully we top it with our running and what we've got coming up. But if not, that's what stands for me.
Yeah.
What did you go for, Skibby?
I was going to say the same. If I was at Chelsea, I probably would have chosen Chelsea, but I couldn't go, so I feel a bit gutted about that. So I love the fact that we won, but I'm envious the fact I wasn't there. So I went for Brentford. It was just unreal, especially when all the players were celebrating in front of like my block as well. It was just pandemonium when the lad ran on. I say lad, the old boy ran on the pitch and was just like screaming in Kearney's face, and it was great. But it was just really special.
Yeah, nice.
There's always one, isn't there?
Well, there's 2 actually.
Southampton at home.
Steve went for Preston away, so
Preston away got my money's worth. Yeah. Where else can you see? What was it? 30 odd penalty. Oh no, it must be more than that, wasn't it? Because the final score was like 30 something. Went round twice. 60 odd penalties. Yeah. But no, that leads us very nicely into the running.
Yeah, the running.
So I think we've got 9 games to go to beat, well, potentially 2 things. Qualify for Europe, potentially, but also there's also the points tally, the record points tally of 53. Keep me true here.
Yeah, 53.
53. So, I mean, without further ado, we'll just kick off with it. And Mike has done his predictions, and he believes we're going to rack up another 15 points, which is going to bring us to 60. So we're not only going to beat our record points total, we're going to absolutely smash it. So, Mike, you've gone for no points against Arsenal and Liverpool, a draw with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
We're going to beat Chelsea at home.
Yeah.
We're going to beat Southampton away. We're going to draw to Villa. We're going to beat Everton at home. We're going to draw with Brentford away. And then finish it off with a famous win against Man City to give us 15 points and a total of 60. Tell me your thought process from here. So like...
There is a caveat here, and that's obviously the FA Cup. I think, depending on how far we go, could harm our league performance. So I think the semi-final weekend would be due to play Southampton. I think we could probably beat Southampton straight after playing the back of a semi-final. So I think that still stays at 3 points. But Cup final day is also the weekend that the Brentford game is scheduled for. If that has to move, it will probably be the few days after the cup final. That will be their cup final. We will be hungover because we will have won the cup. So that will be 0 points. So there's a few caveats, but generally I think that we've got a team and a squad that has got the ability to, smash that points total because, we've got some fixtures that I think are winnable. Okay, on paper they might look hard, but at home we've been better against the teams that come and play against us. That's why I kind of feel like we've got a chance of beating Chelsea. We've lost to Man City something like 20 times in a row. That has to end sooner or later. It may as well be in the last game of the season for us to qualify for the Champions League because winning the FA Cup only gets you into the Europa League. So we may as well just go one step further and completely, make it the best season ever in Fulham's history. So that's my optimistic thought process. That's why I've gone for that. Some might be a little bit more unrealistic than others.
So I was going to say, not only are you happy with, our first win at Stamford Bridge in got to be about 40 years or whatever it was, but you're thinking we're going to do the double.
Yeah. Annoyingly, we're not playing them now because they're not on a very good run at the moment. So, but yeah, I don't know. Why not?
Yeah. Do you know what? 60 points would definitely put us into Europe.
You say that. I think 60 points was what Man United got last season. They finished 8th. So
we think 8th will be Europe this year, don't we?
It should just be, but it also depends on where Newcastle finish. Like if Newcastle down tools, they've already nicked one of those European spots. So I don't know. The pessimist in me thinks that we'll finish the place below whatever is necessary to qualify for Europe. So whether that's 7th or 11th, we'll finish the one below it. But yeah, I've gone for the optimistic ones in my scores there, Skibby.
Love it. So from one optimist to an absolute pessimist that we're going to boo, Dave, you've gone for a 12-point haul.
Yeah.
So only 3 points off of that, but the good news is we still beat our total, our record total by 4 points, 57. So you've gone for Arsenal, Liverpool, no points, a draw away to Bournemouth, a win at home to Chelsea, a win away to Southampton, a draw to Villa, a draw at home to Everton, no points to Brentford away, and then end it all with a win at Man City.
Yeah, so exactly what Michael was saying. I know that we're going to be in the FA Cup final on the day that we're supposed to play Brentford, and as Michael said, we'll be very hungover from that game, and it'll just be too hard to come down from the jubilation of winning. It'll be a bit like when we won the championship, and then we had to play Sheffield United on the last day. Do you remember that? And we lost 4-0. It'll be a bit like that probably, and we won't care because we'll just be singing about the FA Cup win the whole time, and it'll be a party atmosphere. But that was my my rationale for that one. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to Mike. You know what? I do think the Bournemouth away and Villa away games are going to be tough. You know, we do well to get a point from those, but I'm stand by that. And for the same reason, Mike went for the win at City. I just think it's due. You know, all runs come to an end. It's the last day. They're not, they're not in the championship race this year, and you know, I just think we'll turn up that day, and you know, it's the last game of the season. I just think I'm expecting a big performance.
Yeah, it's just an interesting read, isn't it? Where you think we'll get a draw at home to Everton. I mean, they are playing quite well. A draw to Villa. But yeah, don't worry, we're going to beat Chelsea and Man City. It's easy as that. So I do like it. But 57 points, I mean, I'd bite the hand off now, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just beat that total and we get there. And I think that would be enough. Honestly, I think it would be enough. I think some of the teams that we're already squeezed up against in that sort of top 10 at the moment, I think some are going to start falling away. Yeah. And Mary, you took a very composed
I'm
approach.
a real person.
14 points. we're all very optimistic. But so Mary's gone for Arsenal away a draw, Liverpool at home a draw, Bournemouth away a draw. I mean, this does sound very Fulham at the moment, just draw. Chelsea at home at 3 points, Southampton away 3 points, Villa away a loss, Everton at home 3 points, Brentford away 1 point, and Man City at home 1 point. Leaving us with 14 points in total added on, so that gives us 59 points, just shy of the 60 mark, but still absolutely smashing that record points total. So
there's a lot of draws, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite good. So you're thinking that we're only going to lose one game in the next 9?
Yeah, I think Villa. I've put Villa down as as a loss, and I know the home game didn't go too well with Diop getting an own goal and Anderson getting a red, and I think was it 3-1 we lost, so that wasn't ideal. But I do think a lot of the teams we're playing have got something to play for, and that's Villa included. I think that will be a really tough away game, and I think the same with Bournemouth. I put us down for a point with that because I think they're also playing for something, and I know they're not having a good run at the moment and they are dropping points, but every team sort of goes through that dip, and then it like we've been through it a little bit, and I think I think that would be a point. So I know we drew at home with them. I think they scored in the last few minutes, so we could have actually won that one. But yeah, I think that would be a tough one. Arsenal, Liverpool, we do well when teams come at us. So I'm hoping that one. I mean, I asked a few of the people the kids at school that support Arsenal. I said, "What do you think then?" And they think we'll win, but I didn't quite have it. I said, "Yeah, that's all right. I'll take that." But yeah, I think a draw to them, and I think Everton. I've put us as a win, but I do think that will be a tough win, a very tough win, because they're not conceding many. And yeah, I was in two minds about that one actually. I think Everton will be a really tough game.
I can't remember the last time we beat Everton at home. Feels like a long time. Michael will know. He's brilliant stuff like this.
We beat them the season under when we had 3 managers. So I think Parker was the manager at the time.
I was going to say we got relegated.
We were
we'd
already
been
relegated. And I think Barble scored, and maybe Kearney. But it didn't matter because we were already relegated. But
there was a red card, I think. Gomez.
Yeah, and I think Pickford didn't. Pickford shouted at somebody, which is pretty par for the course anyway. But I think he did something crap as well. So that's that's probably the last time we beat them at home. They usually do that thing where they kind of come and park the bus and they turn us around because they win the toss, and it's all like it's not an enjoyable experience at all. So yeah,
I've gone for the Chelsea win, as in Fulham beating Chelsea win. We're doing the double. Yeah. We are doing the double, and that's going to be Limbs FC as well.
Vinicius off the bench to score the winner again.
Yeah. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, and then he'll get a new contract, and then
he can have a new contract if he scores the winner against Chelsea.
He can have a statue if he scores the winner again.
And then myself, I'll keep it short and sweet because it's pretty much similar to what most have said. But so I've gone for the 15 points haul, similar to Mike. Draw with Arsenal, lost to Liverpool. I think we're going to beat Bournemouth away. I think we're going to lose to Chelsea. Just because that's life. That's what's going to happen. Southampton win, Villa a draw, Everton win, Brentford win, and a draw with City to finish it off. I just think that Bournemouth are a bit hit and miss at the moment. I think we can do. I think we can do them on their own turf. I think it just feels like something that's going to happen. A draw with Arsenal just feels right. I've been to the Emirates the last couple of times, and we've always put in a decent performance. Really rattles Arteta. I love it. So hoping for something similar. And I think that we're going to finish strongly. I think Everton, their bubble's going to burst soon. So I know they've had a bit of a resurgence under Moisey, but I think that they're going to sort of come to realise they're not as good as everyone thinks they are. So they'll come down, get a win there. Brentford happily beat them just because it's Brentford. I mean, even with the FA Cup hangover, I just think we're too professional. We're too good. I mean, even with our reserves coming in for that one, if you think about TC, Reedy, and basically at one of Muniz and Raul, one of them is going to come in. So I think we've still got enough about us to beat Brentford and then finish off with a nice draw with City because I think they're just really jammy. I get flashbacks to that Kevin De Bruyne penalty where I think Kearney or Robinson tapped his ankle and just fell over. So yeah, they're just jammy in one point. But yeah, so there you have it. Myself and Mike think we're going to reach 60 points, Mary 59 and Dave 57. But either way, we're looking for a very exciting end to the season, hopefully.
And we've got Wilson and Tete coming back. So I think what a time for them to come back when we've got this run in. So hopefully that will add to it.
No, absolutely. We will squeeze in some questions. I did have a number, but I reckon we'll do 2. Okay. 2 seems like a fair number. So these were questions that were posted in our Discord. So if you haven't joined our Discord, please do. We have a section there called Podcast Questions where you can ask us anything and everything. Doesn't even have to be football related. But we have been asked, and this is news that's come out of Fulham Fan News about half an hour before we went live, so that kind of ruined the question. But would you keep Raul? And if you let him go, who's the replacement? But Fulham Fan News ruined this by telling us that it's looking like he might be signing an extension anyway. So we're looking like we're going to keep him. But hypothetically, would you keep Raul, Mike?
Yeah, I think that would be the right decision. I think we can extend the contract by a year anyway with the option. So I think that makes sense in that, his form's been good. He's chipped in with a good number of goals. He's somebody that younger players like Muniz can learn from. And I think that it would maybe give us a chance in the summer to bring somebody in as like a third striker, maybe a young player who it gives them a chance to bed in rather than need to break the bank to get, a striker, to play instead of Raul or, in competition with Muniz. I like Raul as well. I think there's like, he doesn't play like he's an old player. I think he's 33, 34. But, players go on longer nowadays. So he doesn't strike me as like somebody who's, past it. It's in his best interest as well because Mexico have got a home World Cup in 2026. So he wants to be playing at the highest possible level. I think even if he's got one eye on that, he'll want to be, first choice for Mexico at that World Cup. So it'll be, for him to put in good performances for us. So yeah, I'm happy with that if he stays, and then maybe we can, scour the European markets for a young understudy who can then take the shirt in 26, 27.
Any rebuttal to that? I think.
No, not really.
I disagree.
You disagree? See, he's on big money. I mean, what's he on? 120 a week. It's a lot of money, and I get that. That's the frustration. But I think we can kick the can down the road another year. He's done, I think, performed well enough, done enough for us this year to prove that he's still a good quality Premier League striker. I do expect Rodrigo to start taking his place in starting lineup more, if not this season, but certainly next. I think he'd be a decent sub. And because they're so different, it's kind of a chalk and cheese. It's nice to have that variation for different games. And I think if we keep Raul and give Muniz the new contract he so desperately deserves, don't even know if we need to really kind of invest in that area. My preference would be to bring in a winger who can also play there if needed, a goal-scoring winger who can also fill in up front. If required. So, yeah, I think I would keep him one more year, and then and I think then next summer look to make that investment in a striker to replace him.
I'm much the same. I think it's good to have two strikers that are slightly different. We know like there's some games where we need Muniz, and I do think, like Dave said, we'll see Muniz come in a lot more next season in the starting 11. But there's games where we need him, and there's games where we need Jimenez, who can control the ball on the floor and he can make those different runs, and he's quite clever with his runs. And I think that's really important to have the difference in playing styles, but within our whole team playing style. So I would keep him, and I think it will just help the both of them with their competition. I think there's been a lot of competition across lots of positions this year, which has helped all of the players just keep at the level we need them. And it's a good competition between Jimenez and Muniz. So I think that will just help that keep strengthening, which will only improve their standard as well.
Yeah, I mean, to play this devil's advocate, I just think he's too expensive for the role that we want him to play. And therefore, I would be much happier to let him go and potentially use that salary on bringing in this goal-scoring winger that I really want. I mean, there's been grumbles around Diego Jota, someone who knows where the goal is and can play out wide. I think he would be really key. And then, he can also play through the middle, whether it be sort of like a false nine type role. But then if we sold Vinicius, then I think then we could bring in someone that we've been looking at. So I'm thinking those sort of like the Calvert-Lewin type player. So I think we can kind of step up on Vinny, but not quite as a goal threat as Jimenez has been, but then bring those goals out to the wing. But I think it just give Muniz more opportunities and more chance to be that main man. I think we did start him off this season, but I just felt like he really needed a bit more time because you could sort of see it was starting to come, and then we sort of benched him, and then Raul came in and started scoring, and he just didn't really have a look in. But for me, I think 34, 35, I just think it's just time. There's no point to keep him, and we can use that 120k elsewhere, personally. But that's just my idea. But interesting, though.
I
And
think
the
also,
last... Oh, go on.
sorry, I was just going to say, like,
No.
I've noticed as well the times that he comes off, like he looks
has a tantrum,
irritated.
doesn't
Oh, he's
Like
furious,
he
isn't he?
which just
Get over
means
yourself, man.
he obviously does still care, and he still has the passion to play in, to be playing at this standard and to be on that pitch, which I mean every footballer wants to, let's be honest. But you can see he's not just there because he's there, he's actually wants to be there. And he
That's
does look irritated every time.
Yeah.
But it's healthy competition, but yeah, I think it shows the passion's there still.
Cool. And then last question, I think, for the pod. Does Sessegnon have a shot at starting against Palace? Go on, Dave.
I think we've heard a little bit about Robinson's injury, although I do think they've only kept him out of the USA squad as a precaution because he's got this knee niggle. But the way he spoke about it on his Instagram was that it was a rest to ensure that he could finish the season and then potentially appear in the Gold Cup. So I think unless he's injured, I don't think so. I don't foresee too many changes actually for Palace. I think Muniz will come back in because I think Muniz Silva likes Raul to come on in the cup games late in case it goes to penalties, like we saw at Man United. And I also think the only other change I would make would be to pull Mr. Smith Rowe out of the sides, push AP further forward, and bring Lukic back in, and keep Willian in. Done enough for me to keep his place. So I don't think Cess will start. I look forward to the time where he does start. I think he's a great option off the bench now. We spoke about the impact he made on Sunday, but I just don't see it unless there's a problem with Robinson.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see Sessegnon starting. I think that he's probably more impactful when the game is more stretched, which is more likely to be later in the game. So I think we need those kind of, more intricate footballers like Willian to try and open up a team, particularly like Palace, who are going to, the onus will be on us to break them down. And then maybe, once the first goal in the game happens, the game might become a bit more stretched if it's gone in our favour. And that's where Sessegnon could really make an impact off the bench. I think we saw at Old Trafford a few weeks ago that, he had some good moments when the game had become a bit more wild. So that's where I'd see him being used, probably for the next few weeks and maybe for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I think just jumping on that point about him coming on at the end or as a sub, he's got so much drive. I think I said it the other week, so much drive and energy that it almost has more impact when he comes on at the moment because later in the game and when we need those game-changing moments, like he scored twice just after he's come on as a sub, and I think that shows that his change in pace and change of energy compared to like the defence and who he's up against is like really making a difference. So I think he's actually, I'd love to see him start at some point. I don't think it will happen with the Palace game, but I think he's such a game changer at the moment when he does come on.
Just to chip in on that, sorry, he's probably got more of a chance of starting at Arsenal the following Tuesday if we play a back five. I think he's more suited as a wing back rather than a left back. So that's maybe where he gets his opportunity. But yeah, I don't see it in the Palace game, if I'm honest.
And I think Willian deserves to play again. I think he was brilliant and just showed his. I've been Team Willian all the way, to be fair, since the January talk. But he just shows his class and his football brain is another level. And I think that's such an important part of football. Is okay, he may not be as fast as other players for obvious reasons, but his decision making and his leadership on the pitch and just the way the decisions he makes is brilliant, and I think he deserves to keep playing, especially against Palace.
This is what I was going to say, especially against Palace, because we struggled to break them down last time, and I just think it would be nice. It would give them a different problem having Willian and Muniz this time. Where we were pretty I mean, Marco just got out-fought on the day last time we played them, and we played into their hands and we created very little. So to give them some new problems with, Muniz and Willian, I think would be a good thing.
I think as well with Willian, one thing that he will do is actually take a shot from outside the box, which we just don't do enough. We try and score the perfect goal with our patterns of play a bit too much, and in those kind of tight games against like a Palace, you want someone to just have a go. And, that shot that he got against Spurs last week was, inches away. So hopefully he's just saving it for a little bit more inside the post against Palace next weekend. And also that touch before Spence pushed him over and the ref didn't think it was a foul was just brilliant. That's proper footballers.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement there. I don't think Cess will start, but he's a great asset to come on the pitch, and he's just shown that kind of level-headed composure and can be a real thorn in the side when he does come on. So I think that's really important. And interestingly enough, you guys actually all answered a question I had written down, which didn't have time to ask, which was thoughts on Willian's first start. So there you go. We 2 in 1 for that one. Willian was fantastic. We're all in agreement, but no. But yeah, I think that's kind of it.
We've done it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, I know we ran over, but I think it was because we were having so much fun tonight. So talking about, a few different kind of things. So no, really enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, it's been an hour and 15. It's probably a good time to close down. It's been great interaction. People following us tonight, sending us questions, keeping us going and giving us lots of content. So that's been and we're really grateful to you guys for doing that. Just again, in the pod description, there'll be links to all of our social media pages and our Discord channel, which is just popping off at the moment. There's so many new members. So great place to talk about Fulham without all the noise of X and the like. So yeah, make sure you get involved in that. And of course, I'm sure we will do a show on Monday. We haven't talked about it. We'll most certainly be doing a show next Thursday night in preview to the Crystal Palace game. But it's international weekend. So watch England if you want to, like Mike, or if you'd rather.
No one's saying I want to.
Just...
Yeah,
I think I'll just have the weekend off football and look forward to Crystal Palace. But Mike, what a debut! What a great debut! That was, I think, it was more like the Louis Saha debut than the Shefki Kuqi. So
as long as it's not Shefki Kuqi levels, then that's okay. I'm happy with that. But I'm sure the people will decide with their various rates and comments as such. But thank you for having me. I've appreciated it.
No worries. And we love the light bulb and the way the background is on your camera, like some sort of bizarre abstract painting. It's all been very interesting. And we've enjoyed having you. And Townsend, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, loved it. Really enjoyed it. And the different interactions we've had with the chat and with each other, just on like how the season's gone and reliving a few moments like the Brentford game and Chelsea and London derbies, just to say, like, we are absolutely bossing them. So yeah, it's been nice to chat and just like have a moment to think about the season and what's coming up. So actually also we've all sort of been on the same wavelength with where we think it will go, which is quite interesting. But yeah, really enjoyed it. So on to the next one.
Yeah, and Skibby, thanks for all the prep today and these new segments, because I've been so busy, so I didn't have any time to think about After Dark until about 10 minutes before it started. So thanks for all the prep and getting us through it.
All good, but yeah, I have got a ticket tomorrow, so I am going. But I'm just thinking about Palace and that FA Cup game. One game from Wembley is madness, and I'm going to Wembley tomorrow, but it's just not the same. But
is it a recce? Is that what you're doing, mate? Just sounding out where you want to sit?
Yeah. I'm just finding out where the acoustics are best for the semi-final.
Yeah.
If you see a weird guy walking around clapping around Wembley Stadium, that's just me just testing the acoustics for my perfect seat. So there you go. But no, it's been a good night. It's been a good night.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks to everyone for joining, and thanks to everyone for commenting and following along. And as always, Mary, will you see us out with a U Whites?
You Whites!